I think he's got a deviant. So we're getting started here. Carl's right out of the gate with that three-eyed owl. So we are seeing an alteration from his normal first five. Right. Mm-hmm. Correct. Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm having
have
some.
it for the Golden Veil.
Let me see. We're having some issues, Neil, with your audio. I apologize. Try typing again. See if it's coming through, Neil.
Test, test, test.
Yep, we're good now. We are good. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened. My computer like reset all of its audio properties the other day, so I thought I had it all corrected. But yeah, to your point on the owl, Neil was just saying on owl, it's a pretty good counter to Fester, and the Festers
Right.
inside of.
It's not. It's just good against cards like Fester that are conditional and sit in your hand because you can never kind of like get out from under the owl.
Right.
But not being able to spend the charm dice on Golden Veil now means that if he has the Fester, it is live.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I think at the end of the day, um, you know, there's a trade off there that happens between Owl and Fester and whether or not Inquisitor actually first five to Fester or not. But I also think just pushing Inquisitor down to a first four is sort of incremental advantage, and we just see going to that Owl right away.
I mean,
from
it is
Carl.
obviously good.
So we see the drop of a Fire Archer. We've got Summon Frostback Bear and Frostbite on the board for Inquisitor. Pretty standard opening line we would expect to see from Inquisitor so far, just looking at his list. And Rennie, I appreciate the heads up knowing that that's you, man. That's super awesome of you to come over and give us some love. Can't thank you enough for that. So, all right, so Carl meditates a hollow away here to change up that Divine die to a power side. He's ready to use that Divine for something. I'm not sure what I'm looking at in the list yet that would need that Divine power. He already had showing for the Lightbringer. I guess that would be specifically for Swordsman. I guess that would be kind of telegraphing that Swordsman play.
His deck is telegraphing the Swordsman play, right? Like,
yeah,
we know he has a Swordsman as first five.
Absolutely. I think that it's just it's curiosity for me in that I guess he may have other side actions he really wants to take at the same time. Well, obviously he has the root armor potentially, right? So that seems like a pretty gutsy play with Inquisitor potentially first five in a Fester to handle a root armor knight.
So it
double meditation.
Root armor is good against Fester too.
Sure.
Because the best Festers are the ones where you get the damage, like a cheeky little damage on it for low cost. If it's root armored, then you have to spend a real cost to put damage on it.
Absolutely. And we see Celestial Knight and Hammer Knight go by to meditate the divine sides or the power sides of the ceremonial up. That will turn on Fester if it is in first five.
It's interesting that he just hit two big bombs to ceremonial power back with his meditate.
That's also true. That's very true. And would have access still to that Celestial Knight in this current dice spread. So we're going to see that Frostback Bear come online now for a nature die and a basic using that charm up. Looks like that's probably a pretty solid hit from Inquisitor here. Just putting a body on the board here at this particular stage puts a lot of pressure with Mark.
Right. This makes Swordsman kind of awkward.
And Carl just goes ahead and windmill slams the Swordsman root armor. I think that's a...
Right, so that the Mark and the Bear don't do it now.
Right.
Not even close.
No.
But the Mark and the Bear,
do
or
turn
just
on
the Bear, turn on Fester.
Absolutely. Seems like a pretty good trade if you're going to trade your Bear into something.
It's okay. You essentially trade, like, 2 for 2 and 3 for 3. Like, 2 for 2 cards, 3 for 3 dice that way.
The Rosefire Dance are just going to hard exhaust that Swordsman. Great first five choice here.
That's really good.
Yep, that's a great first five choice. I think that's got to be one of the best answers, and that Rosefire is a one of in the list. So that was a first five specific decision against the Root Armored Swordsman. Carl bringing his Frostback Bear into play now. Going to go ahead and meditate that last die up here and send it back over. I think Carl got a little out of sequence.
I haven't seen a lot of Rosefire Dancers, but man, that was a good one.
Yeah, I've become more and more impressed with this card the more I see it. But it is just essentially a 2 dice exhausting unit.
Well, it's 2 dice exhausting unit and leave a threat.
Sure.
It's a threat that's easy to deal with, but they do have to do something. So then they passed out? Is that what happened? Oh, no they're just...
Inquisitor doesn't want to use the Team Covenant tokens, it looks like. Potentially, that's what we're looking at here.
Yeah, that would have been a strange pass, I think. So
yeah, makes more sense. Because Inquisitor's got a lot of momentum going his way right now. Although Carl is going to get his own bear threatened here.
Yeah, I mean... It depends on what Inquisitor's last card is. I'm trying to figure out what Carl's last card is now. I think it's probably one of the ready spells.
It could be Lightbringer. He could still be looking at a Lightbringer.
If he plays, he can't play Gilder Book, I guess. So he wouldn't have started Gilder in the hand with Owl.
Nope. So potentially as Lightbringer, or we could be looking at just a Raptor Herder. Carl does like Raptor Herder.
So he has 2 dice left. I bet it's an Ironworker.
That would also be a good choice. So summon False Demon here. I like False Demon here. This is a good book play.
It's just a guy essentially. Like it does a damage, but the root armor makes that not great.
And I think we get through this play. I do think Herald is out of Celestial Knight, but is still able to play a Hammer Knight in this scenario from Graveyard.
So here's a Frostback Bear. Yep. I bet it's an Ironworker with those 2 dice left.
Yeah, it's either a Raptor Herder or Ironworker, but I would think Ironworker would be better here late if you can hold off late on it. What happened?
I think you got the wrong summon.
Oh, okay. So again, we got Carl on the bottom playing Herald, and Inquisitor on the top playing Herald.
In 2 decks that are very, very similar.
Very similar. So this is...
I mean, they have like some different elements, but they even the different elements add up to be a similar package.
Absolutely.
For each deck. It's like this really versatile kind of Herald deck.
I would be very interested, just in general, on what is the best version of this. We lost Neil on the game.
How did we lose me? I literally just read the thing that said I disconnected.
Yeah, the discard piles are fairly mirrored right now, Waves. Obviously, there is a Celestial Knight and Hammer Knight in Inquisitor's discard right now, which Inquisitor has access to with these dice. So, yes, but they both did meditate away a Nature's Wrath there.
I don't think I was actually disconnected, but I reconnected anyway. just to make sure.
So Carl gets first blood with waves his own ceremonial power into Hammer Knight. Just kind of what we expected. Or is he going to go Fire Archer here? He's just going to go Fire Archer. That's interesting.
I think he just wanted a thing that he could play.
Yeah.
Because this still leaves him with the False Demon and the Frostbite.
It's true. So String Mage here from Carl.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is a spicy little token here. For those folks that are less familiar with String Mage, including myself, just have 1/3 with Recover 2, has the ability to move a wound or status token onto a unit, or move a wound or status token from a unit onto target unit. So it can move wounds around, which is a great way to
It looks pretty safe on this board.
Agreed.
Because Inquisitor is only going to have 7 total power.
Mm-hmm.
Probably less, depending on how Carl attacks. So that's not enough to kill more than 2 of these units.
No. I think String Mage is really interesting here. because it's gonna force the mark from Harold probably early to take out the bear, because you can't really mess with that swordsman at all now. Um, and I guess he's good. He values killing
Yep.
that mage, and that's probably makes the most sense, to be honest. When you
I think
really
that's fine. Uh, it it was like actually a really big threat because there was no way that it was gonna like.
Rosefire going down.
Okay, so I think it's interesting here that he didn't block with Herald.
I do too.
That seems not good.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the decision point in something like that is exactly. Um, you can turn on Frost Demon to kill the Frostback Bear.
Well,
Fire.
he's gonna have make a demon, put a damage on Bear. Then I assume Bear's gonna take a damage from Fire Archer and Frostbite, and then the demon is gonna get to attack with Three-Eyed Owl.
Sure, that also would be
Like
very
I
good.
think that's gonna be what's gonna happen in the remainder of the turn because it doesn't look like Carl's got anything left.
Yeah, I think that is a better line than what I was thinking. So you would be. I think that's a good call. The Fire Archer can and Frostbite can easily handle that bear, unless you want to leave the owl.
Well,
up
I
for
guess
some
he's
reason.
got Herald blocked, so that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So what's probably gonna happen is okay. So demon attacks Bear, force the Herald block, then the Bear will die to Fire Archer and
no,
Frostbite. Okay, so he just lets it go.
I guess he values that Three-Eyed Owl more than he does the. And so if
And Inquisitor doesn't even care about the owl; he's just coming to face.
I kind of wondered if that was going to be a thing. So we're just going to see Frostbite go to face as well here.
He would also have the option of frostbiting owl, and then he goes first next turn, so he could kill the owl.
Sure,
like as his first main.
But if we just look at ready spells on board right now, I think ready spells on board, Inquisitor has a stronger ready spell presence than Carl does. Not just in sheer quantity, but just in playability, round over round. But
yeah, I mean, it depends on how Carl's game ends up playing here. Because the owl is going to be a real thing in this control matchup.
For sure.
Um,
So we got 4 basics from Inquisitor. Carl rolls 3 basics.
I'm really confused about the Rosefire Dancer death there. Like why he didn't block with Herald.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he could have a fire like imagine if he had Rosefire Dancer in play here and his first main was like
Exhaust
do something
Swordsman.
and his first side was Exhaust Swordsman.
Right.
Like
that seems like it would be really good to shut Swordsman down for 2 rounds, potentially. I'd be curious to hear Inquisitor's thoughts on it. Obviously, both Heralds are not exhausted right now. The players just forgot to remove the exhaustion tokens. So we're getting a 4 dice spend? Oh, he's just moving dice over. Got it, okay. I was like, what's happening? All right.
But I mean, their board presence is really similar. It's just going to depend on how much action this swordsman actually gets. Because obviously, like in these battlefield-based matchups, the Mark swordsman is just bonkers.
I think Carl's explaining that you can use the dice roller. Although I think Inquisitor's got the large dice, which tend to not work with the dice roller. So we'll see if they try to do it or not this round. Yeah, I do think... Does the Inquisitor deck have Choke? Because Choke would be a really... sorry, chat.
There's a one of.
Choke would be a really good card here just to get rid of a mark. Carl's deck does have...
If he has the choke, this would be a really good choke.
Yeah, Carl does still have 2 Consume Souls, so it's very possible we are going to that choke. I wondered about it when he was eyeballing that ceremonial dice there to make that happen.
That's a really good draw. Like this might be the only time in the game that choke matters, and he drew the one of.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree that was pretty solid.
I'm not sure that it's literally the best card he could have drawn, because I think, like, imagine if he had choked him and had the Rosefire.
Right.
That was like his turn was main action choke, side action Rosefire.
That'd been a pretty big blowout turn, for sure. So we'll see if Carl draws into his Gilder book or his Lightbringer book here.
I don't think he's going to be playing Gilder this game. I assume he's going to make a second owl here.
That may be true.
I mean, not this literal turn, but this round.
Carl's also got 3x Magic Siphons in the list. I know one went by on Meditate earlier, but that does turn into a really good way to just pivot this deck into a quasi-mill stall deck.
Yeah, Make a Frostbite Bear is a very safe play.
So fighting, just to really quick address that while we're in the middle of the match here, how do people like Mirror Matches and Ashes? I think Mirror Matches and Ashes are wildly different. These decks are very similar, so it's
very rare to see an actual mirror match. Like, you can have the same Phoenixborn, and these decks are really similar to each other, but obviously not identical.
Right. And I still got the mid-round votes going. I guess I didn't shut off our poll, so if you want to get in on a vote on Carl or Inquisitor, go ahead and make those votes.
I think that because of the way that Ashes works in general with the first 5, like, playing mirror matches is still very skill intensive, and still very interesting, because imagine that 2 players were playing Carl's exact list. There's 1,000 first 5 options.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the chances that we play a little mirror match where you and I both pick the same 5?
Yeah, I mean that's very true. I
think that I even think that if you sat down at a table with the same exact 30, same exact Phoenixborn, same exact dice, and you pick the same exact first 5 at random, it would still be an interesting match. It's not like other games where, if you're playing Magic and you play the mirror match, it really comes down to play skill to a certain extent, but also to just draw.
Mm-hmm.
Random draw, which in this game it can also come down to random draw, but not in the first round.
So we see a double.
So I think it's still really interesting.
We see double Frostbite, Focus Frostbite coming on board. This is going to make Frostbite a real threat for Carl.
Focus Frostbite is interesting too because it also decreases the value of potential Magic Siphon.
Right.
It doesn't make it 0. Magic Siphon would still be good in this match, but it does decrease the value.
Yeah, I think that that double Frostbite here is also a direct path to victory if the board gets stalled out. And I think we're probably likely to see a set of stalled boards. Yeah, it puts Carl on a timer. I think that whether
at
it's
least for
fast
these
enough
early turns, I think he's going to be hitting units with it, but
certainly
it does do a good job of fighting the owl / Magic Siphon mill strategy.
Yes,
because owl and Magic Siphon are real slow mill.
Yep,
and the Frostbite is a clock.
So neither player has committed a large sum of dice up to this point, although Carl still has all 5 cards in hand, and Inquisitor is down to 2 cards remaining, 1 lost because of that 3-eyed owl. I think that that would indicate that Carl's hand disruption strategy is working so far here as you would intend it to. Really tricky situation, I think, for Inquisitor, depending on what that last card is. Knowing that Carl may be pivoting to this mill, you want to be careful with your meditations and get the maximum value you can from them.
I wouldn't worry too much about the meditations at this juncture. Like milling yourself is bad if it goes to mill, but
Sure.
Also just not playing card is bad, especially into what is potentially a double owl board here.
So he takes Frostbite as a main action pass, just right to the face here. So here's Swordsman into Fire Archer. Interesting that this wasn't a marked decision. So
I wonder if this indicates that he has either second Swordsman or call to action.
Could be. Very much he is set up for that call to action play here. So it could be something where we're looking at just a pivot on both players' parts and not being safe to open up that Swordsman for another attack. But either way, great way to get 3 damage on that Herald and shorten the score up a little bit here. Um, Still, obviously, not showing that fester removal at this particular juncture. So we're just going to fire up both of those frostbites directly into Phoenix Morpheus.
He is 100% on just the like frostbite race.
Yep.
I'm not sure that like I don't know. I don't know that I like that play. Like I'm not saying it's wrong to race, but I just think like committing them this early in the turn when they could potentially be like a unit removal.
So Carl drops the Gilder altogether here.
Right. Like I said, he's just not on the plan of using that charm dice for Gilder.
Drops a hollow, so we're full in on this mill strategy at this point. He's rolling down those he rolled down the nature die 1 level. He's got 1 more die he can roll down here. I think he's deciding what that last one will be.
I think illusion class to basic is pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too, especially now where your opponent is out of.
But I'm not sure about that. I'm trying to look at his deck list also.
The hard part with Inquisitor is you don't know because there's so many 1-ofs. It's hard to guess what would be in his hand consistently.
So he chose Illusion Power, which turns off.
He goes Fire Archer into it. There's the call to action. Bring that Swordsman back up. Tanks the hit from the Fire Archer, going to 9.
Yep.
That brings that Swordsman back. Should have 9 damage on the Herald, I think. Let's make sure he gets that right.
Just give him a second. They're resolving things.
Yep.
What did he attack with the Fire Archer? I'm just curious.
He attacked the Hollow. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
So that was a very good Hollow.
Yep.
That killed that bear before it got to attack also. This is where I think the frostbites early were not great. I think you should just like made another bear or something if he was gonna punt. Like,
because now what you've got is you've got this swordsman back up in a position where even if you make another bear, it's going to get exhausted. Just killing the fire.
It'll just die.
Well, you don't have to
attack bear.
Yeah, but you don't want to risk, because even though he's not showing that fester right now, what you don't want to risk is the swordsman taking 1 point of damage. So you can just safely exhaust it into a fire archer attack. And because the herald's blocked out,
I think it's definitely like worth attacking bear at this juncture.
Yeah, could be.
If he makes one.
I think at this point you should let your demon make a shot at the frostback bear. You'd probably trade demon for that, but I mean, you could also take demon into owl, because he's not going to be able to play another owl this turn, so that means you get a little owl respite in round 3. We're sitting here in round 2.
It also, right now. I like, now that Herald is tapped, and like Carl has untapped swordsman and bear, and unused owl book. I guess owl book's not going to do anything, so there you go.
So he's just going to mark that and attack it and kill the bear.
I think that's fine.
Yep. That reduces the swordsman's value on board right now. I think that's all.
Right, now Carl has to take an action. I guess he could just pass. Like, if he passes, what is Inquisitor going to do different next turn?
Yeah, I mean, that's like, true.
Because Carl doesn't have ready spells to activate, so if he passes to Inquisitor can pass and have given up his 2/2 and his 2/3 this turn. Or he can make something and the swordsman will kill it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I think passing is really good. Unless he has another, like, good unit to play.
Meditate Swordsman's Meditate Consume Soul, roll up both of those sympathy dice. Seems like we're looking at a Huntmaster or another Hollow here. Also just hard on that mill plan with dice roll downs.
Yeah, this turn would have looked totally different if he had Frostbites up to kill both those Hollows.
So Cam, the great question here is: would you Ceremonial Rose back later to round into double? I double exhaust sword. I think that it's a little harder to get around the rose. Like, the rose is still a good answer here, but I think what Inquisitor's got to figure out is how to get Swordsman with some damage on it and fester it away. Because I think Carl is now firmly in the driver's seat of this thing with a unexhausted Swordsman and a Hollow. I think I agree. Fighting like Inquisitor definitely punched pretty hard in terms of the Rosefire in round 1 and then the choke in round 2, but Carl has just worked his way around that through that call to action play. Which, when call to action works, it's a pretty phenomenal card for sure. So we're gonna see a nature die come up. We're gonna get a ping on the Hollow. He can't ping.
You can't meditate and ping. So yeah. I think he's just making a bear.
Must be. Just going to bring that bear in play here.
Now that we're in this game state, I would do what you said. I would attack. I probably wouldn't attack. I would just see what his bear does, because we know that his Herald's exhausted, so the bear's not really a threat to Swordsman.
Right.
But I would either attack...
he's a sympathy to draw a card.
Fire Archer here, or I would just attack face with Hollow or something. Because ideally he would want to get the demon in play so he could get the demon bear 2-for-1 off the Swordsman attack rather than the Fire Archer.
That is interesting and very possibly the correct play. Although
this is also really good. Is attack bear here.
Right.
Oh, he's a second face.
Yep, I'm gonna go face. Yeah, I think you could feasibly, because Carl doesn't have to counter if you drag to the bear.
I'm not sure that draw was good there. I don't know what he was drawing to, but he could have attacked and pinged bear, attacked and frogged bear, and
yeah, that's true.
Or even divine power and attack bear.
Yeah, the divine power would have been. I'm not sure what he's got hanging out in that hand still with that double power on.
Well, there's at least one Sonic in the discard pile, so I guess he can't play Sonic anymore either without the sympathy.
Right. So from a divine perspective, he could have an Ironworker still in hand, but the divine powers wouldn't matter for that at all. So you would have been able to freely use divine power there to kill bear.
I would say probably Carl just has a card that's not good to play right now.
Could be a Shepherd.
Like a Nature's Wrath or a Golden Veil or something.
Yeah. He could have a Shepherd still in hand. That would be a reasonable card here. So he's going to make that false demon. This is really...
Yeah, it's a fine demon. It kills that 2-1.
It just opens up the play you were talking about where you can kill bear with Swordsman and exhaust demon. I guess.
Right, but given Inquisitor's plays thus far, I assume his last 2 cards are not playable.
Sure.
Or I guess it could be the Blood Archer, and he's just trying to get the Swordsman to attack before he plays Blood Archer.
It could be a Blood Archer. He could also be holding that Fester.
So it looks like, did Carl just pass? Did he
Carl meditated to a Magic Siphon and pass. So he's putting Inquisitor firmly in the driver's seat here on this attack. Or this play. If he's holding Fester, then I think your best play is to go ahead and attack with the bear directly to Herald and see if the Swordsman takes it. If the Swordsman takes it, then you have the ability on the next round to meditate into Fester and Fester that Swordsman away. Just because you'd get 1 damage on the.
You're still going to get all your units killed by it.
Well, it can't kill all of them. It would. Yeah, that's true because it'd kill the bear.
If you attack into it, it's going to kill 2 and tap the other one out.
True. Not sure how you dig your way out if you're Inquisitor on a Root Armored Swordsman with Fester being your only removal.
Yeah, I just think that I'm confused as to why there wasn't a Rosefire Dancer in play at the beginning of this turn.
Round, yeah.
And I'm I don't think I think the turn would have played out a lot differently if he hadn't used his frostbite so early. Because this turn hinged heavily on what those two hollows did.
Mm-hmm.
And if frostbite's up, the hollows just don't do that.
So we are going to see that Blood Archer come into play here.
Yep. Which I guess is fine because the Blood Archer puts 2 damage on him when it gets inevitably. Or
yeah, there's
he might not even attack it.
So you get 2.
He'll probably just like attack bear and tap archer.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're playing it safe, you don't want to attack into that Blood Archer at all. You can actually just, depending on how you feel about it, but I think you can't leave 2 untapped.
I think attacking Frostback Bear and tapping Archer is the best, because if you attack because what's going to happen is both 2-power guys are going to get to damage Swordsman if they want to.
But that's
and by attacking Bear, you're just removing the best 2-power guy instead of killing Fire Archer or whatever.
Yep, so there's the Bear attack. Bear
and the exhaustion on the Blood Archer.
Yep. That's what we expected here. Swordsman goes exhausted on that. So I don't think you actually attack. Your choices here for Inquisitor are to either A, take False Demon directly at the Owl and kill the Owl, or attack Herald directly. And he's just going to leave that Owl up and get the damage on Herald.
Yeah, Walloon, that's correct. He wanted multiple Charm Dice because you're right. The additional Owl this turn would be brutal.
So he's going to ping the Demon for 1. And then...
and he played Nature Breath also.
Yep, so that clears the board other than the Archer. The Archer gets a point of damage on him, which he'll recover, and assuming there's no additional plays here. So there's that Ironworker, like we talked about. Great Ironworker here.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's going to get to...
It's going to get to kill the Blood Archer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Great Ironworker here. that's what I was getting at. Like that last 2 dice being for Ironworker and allowing Carl to go first at top of round here with Swordsman and Ironworker. I
just cannot believe how much work those hollows did.
They did so much work that round.
One hollow killed a bear, the other hollow killed something else.
Yep, fighting. That was a really good swing turn for Carl here. Very
and
well
has
played.
An owl out, so he gets to he gets to go first and not commit anything to the board. He just gets to put him on a 4-card hand to his 7.
I do think there's possibility here. Carl will use Ironworker and just swing for 2 and get the damage in. It's also potentially possible that he may commit the Swordsman. Depending on
unless he has something good to play, I think you should just owl him.
Well, he's got 7 cards in hand. He's got to have something good, right?
It's better to be reactionary. Committing stuff is bad in this game usually. So, you should use your things that are free and on board, and let your opponent develop their plan so that you can spend your 7 cards effectively.
I'm not sure either, Cam. It's be an interesting decision for Carl here. I mean, 5 damage is not chump damage here. When you're
the only way he would attack is if he knows he has lethal.
Sure.
And I don't think he can possibly know that because his deck doesn't have any direct damage or anything.
Sure. So just quick card count. We got 11 cards left for Inquisitor, 6 for Carl. Obviously, Carl drew 2 extra cards, though, so they're very similar on card count. Inquisitor has done a nice job of making sure not to burn the deck, even through those double hollows and the 3-eyed owls. Carl is effectively on 5 life, to your point, Walloon. I'm not sure how we think that.
What? From Frostbite is what he's saying?
Oh, yeah. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that's still an eternity away, just using Frostbites here, just an FYI. We're at the very least, if he can play another Frostbite this turn, then we're talking 2 full rounds in this game. Is probably not going 2 full rounds the way it looks right now.
If Frostbite is the damage, even if he has the one of Molten Cold, we're still 2 rounds away from him dying of Frostbite, and there's just no way that that's going to do more damage than the dudes.
Yeah, Carl does have room though. 2 other bodies. I think he's got room for 4 bodies still.
Yeah, he has a 7 battlefield.
7 battlefield. So Carl's still got room to add 4 more units, which is why I'm not sure going first. You would be in trouble to commit both of these units out of the gate to a 5 damage attack, because if you with 7 cards in hand and 2 books to summon off of, you really do have the option here to drive up to a 7 battlefield this round pretty easily. Inquisitor.
Yeah, so Carl activates Owl and says go.
Yep.
Which I think is absolutely correct.
So it does not commit the attacks, which was what Neil thought would happen. So I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I think you were thinking of Odette, Cam. She has a 5 battlefield.
Inquisitor is just in such a bad way, like, because he can't play any unit or it's immediately killed.
Right.
Like, if it's a threatening unit, it's killed by Ironworker. If it's a non-threatening unit, it just sits there and waits for Swordsman to annihilate them.
Yep. Does Inquisitor have... He doesn't have any, like, 2-for-1 units, like a Raptor Herder or something like that, just to, like, put bodies on the field from a perspective.
I don't think that would do anything.
It potentially does. I mean, depending on how
like
Carl
if he plays a Raptor Herder here, I think that Carl can just easily ignore it.
So he's just going to Frostbite again, take him to 6.
I mean, I guess if you're on the plan, you have to stick to the plan. But
it's interesting that the Divine Power was used for that. I don't know what the Magic Siphon.
He just must have a Divine card in hand.
Magic Siphon is going to really start punishing the Meditates here. So, we're going to start seeing Carl take advantage of rolling dice down now with efficiency and impunity. The nice thing about Magic Siphon against natural players is that you can roll down their nature powers and they can never get them back as long as you have the Siphon up. Magic Siphon is just a better version of Illusion Power. Like Illusion Power.
Well,
Illusion Power should have been like change them to any side, and then it would have been much better than the roll down 2 dice 1 level. So we just see another Frostbite taking Carl to 5. If that Molten Gold is in hand, we're getting a double Meditate here, and what did we lose there? Gilder and a Consume Soul. Okay. So Gilder's not a big loss. We're definitely going to see that ceremonial action. So probably ceremonial into Fire Archer again. But they're just going to Magic Siphon one of those guys back. Which is why I think knowing that the opponent had Magic Siphon, here's Raptor Herder. So Carl's just putting almost lethal on board now. He's got 5, 7, 8 damage on board. So we're really close to lethal with this board state. That puts a ton of pressure because all Carl has to do is drop a Frostback Bear next turn, and he has lethal to win the game. So we're in a position now where I don't think Inquisitor can sit back and not put units on the board. But to your point, like you're going to be spending dice, time, and resources now strictly for the purposes of stemming off dying. You're not actually going to improve your board position with each of these plays.
Right. I mean, if he has a Nature's Wrath here, it's pretty good.
That Nature's Wrath would be really solid if
he has those in his list, right?
He does. He has 3 Nature's Wraths. I don't know how many have gone by. I know there was an early Meditate on 1.
He has 3 Nature's Wraths and 2 Mist Typhoons, so that's something that would be pretty good here.
Also saw a Mist Typhoon go by earlier as well. So I don't know how many of these AoEs he's got left in his list. The Mist Typhoon would be another solid card here to drop the threat pretty substantially.
Right. I mean, if he has Nature's Wrath plus Frogpring the Ironworker, it's a whole different game. But
he's grabbing the 1 nature die, Neil. Does he got it? Does he have it, folks? Looks like it. Looks like we're getting a Nature's Wrath.
I still think even if he does this, yeah, okay, so it's really good. I still think that it's
Frogpring is the worker.
I still think it's an uphill battle for him.
Sure.
I think one of those goes in the discard. Yeah, he figured it out.
I think the one thing he can do here to bail himself out to get rid of this swordsman now is, play his own bear. If Carl doesn't attack, he can mark the swordsman with Herald and then get the Fester off. He's got to be getting close to having a Fester in hand at this point. With a two of Fester,
I haven't seen one go by.
I haven't either. So there's got to be a pretty good chance.
So there's a Shepherd.
Shepherd's
just getting another swordsman.
You got to get another swordsman here, right? That's just got to be the best card. Oh, he's going to grab that Raptor Herder back. Values the wide strategy more than the tall strategy in this matchup.
He just has so many cards in hand that like he efficient plays are better.
Sure,
I guess is probably what it is.
But I think Inquisitor's got to commit to getting rid of this swordsman threat, right? Like it's got to be part of his plan now to actively get rid of this swordsman threat. And
I don't know. At this point, I guess Carl still has 9 dice. He has 2 power of books in play. He has 4 power on board. That's 6. It's not 100% that Carl can make lethal this turn.
Right.
So it's very possible that Inquisitor could just be on the plan of Molten Gold plus Frostbites next turn.
That's true, Fighting. Fighting's got a good point. Carl could have Consumed Soul plays if you put units on board. So you can't... Yeah, that's a good point, Leonard. Does he, though? It's very true. You may not need to kill the swordsman here.
Right. That's what I was saying is Carl has 9 dice and 5 cards and a Frostback Bear. So he currently has 6 power that he can put on the board we know about. And then with 7 additional dice, he has 5 cards in hand. So he would have to put in another 4 power off those 7 dice and 5 cards. And 4 power is not 1 card. It has to be 2 cards. So I think it's very probable that even if Inquisitor plays no units this turn, that he'll survive.
Yeah, the question is, can he survive 2? Because you've got 3 main actions to get to victory. So you actually have to survive not only this round, but 3 main actions from your opponent.
Right. I'm not saying that he literally can do nothing, but we're also speculating on Carl's hand.
Right.
So I'm looking at Carl's deck here. He could have another Hollow.
Yep.
He have another Raptor Herder. I mean, he honestly doesn't have many other units with power in his deck. We've seen 2 Hollows, so there's one hollow left. The Ironworker's gone. Anchornaut doesn't have power. Possible 2 Raptors, 1 additional Shepherd, 1 Swordsman, and 1 String Mage.
Right.
So if he has the second Swordsman, that's really good. But if all he does is play Frostback Bear...
Oh, we get 3rd Frostbite down. He has the 3rd Frostbite.
Unfortunately, it doesn't actually change the math.
No.
Because it'll put him at 4 and then you can only 3 him, so you still need the Molten Gold.
But it does take you to... it does take him to a position where if he's planning to go into the next round for a win, it's 1 less... it's 1 less damage. So now what we see is... Well, now you can
what this Frostbite can do is it can save him a damage off of this. I don't kill the Raptor or whatever.
I don't think he's going to do that because what I think he's got is Ceremonial into Fire Archer. He has Fire Archer in the bin. The issue is going to be, Leonard, is if he's got Fire Archer in the bin, you have to wait and use that last because if you use it first, you do, to point, make that Consumed Soul play wide open to heal Herald and take him out of the math position.
If Fire Archer is part of his plan, it will be Consumed Soulable at some time before he wins.
Yep.
Whether it's now or next round.
So I think what we're going to see is exactly what Cam's pulling out here. We're probably going to see Fire Molten to Frostbite and then Fire Archer as the kill.
That's true. With the Fire Archer, he does have it this turn.
That's right. He does. It will not go another round if that's
currently 7. Currently 7 power in play. Is that right? 1, 2, 3,
7
6,
power
7,
in play.
And 8, 9 with the book. So if one of these 4 cards is a unit, then Carl has lethal.
1 Molten in the list, Leonard. So it's going to be a question if he's got that Molten right now, which we don't know. So it'd be curious to see if Inquisitor can pull this one off. Otherwise, Carl is very much in the driver's seat of probably burying Leonard here with another unit play. He's got to play 1 unit from hand still. Or if he's got another Raptor, he could play another Raptor.
So he only has to put him at 1 because he's going first next round.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, if he has it was very clutch for sure in pulling out the win here. I think it's
because what happens if you play Fire Archer? So if he just plays Fire Archer this turn, puts him at 4, gets attacked, blocks with the Fire Archer.
If he plays Fire Archer, you risk a Consume Soul play, and then Herald heals too. So we are. I don't think you can.
Those Frostbites are so bold. I guess it's fine. I mean.
So we're going to get another Frostbite into that Herald, taking him to 3. We're going to see if we got the Molten Gold.
He can't meditate here. He has to meditate the turn he plays Molten Gold.
Sure.
Because there is an additional Hollow in the deck, and he's just going to deck himself, right? How many cards he got left? Oh, he's got 8. So he could. It's probably fine.
Yeah. I don't think I'd meditate on this turn because you don't really have a good side out. You're prepped already for the Fire Archer play. The Hollow may come in and roll those dice down. And that would give Carl the time, especially if he's got a Shepherd in hand.
That's true, Leonard. He could meditate books away at this point if he has the Molten Gold.
Yep. It's really just going to come down to, okay, so we get a double med. I think there's a Fester Fire Archer goes by. So we are probably looking at both of those nature dice getting rolled up, and that probably is an indicator that the Molten Gold is there. This is going to put Carl in a bind.
Well, okay. So now, because if he uses Ceremonial Power, he's at 9, which if Carl makes a bear here, will be 9 damage in play.
That's correct. So
if he attacks for 9, he can't get the Fire Archer back.
That's why
I guess that doesn't matter.
He's not going to. Yeah, that's true.
Because
wow, this is coming down to the wire, everybody. With that,
so if he Molten Golds him to 1 now,
what's he holding that Ceremonial Power for? I guess he could Ceremonial Power. He could Ceremonial Power the one of the units down to 1 to reduce their attack value by 1. And Carl's planning obviously.
Oh, you're talking about Charm Power.
Charm Power, right? I don't think that's game yet, Leonard, because Carl's got the Divine. So
the Charm Power makes the Divine cancel each other out.
So I think what you have to do, you do have to go Fire Archer here and risk that Consume Soul heal.
Well, now you can't. Now you just have to let him do it and hope he doesn't have another guy, because he can go to 1.
He can't go to 1.
If he just passes out here. Oh, but because he'll die to the power. So
right.
What he should do is he should Charm Power and pass.
But then Carl's just going to Divine and reset it and go to 9, and then you're locked out of your Fire Archer play.
No. Then Carl has to have another unit to win with, because Inquisitor has first action next round, which can be Frostbite for 1.
Sure.
He still gets to play Molten Gold this round.
Yep.
So he can play Molten Gold right here, charm side action, and go to 1.
Yes, that's true. Whew, this
Because if he does that, Carl can pump and pass, but then he can Ceremonial, make Fire Archer, and kill him.
Well, I don't.
If Carl attacks,
I don't think you have a choice here. You have to Charm Power as your side, or you die to the Divine Power.
Or he just says he doesn't care about the Consume Soul and makes the Fire Archer and blocks. No, he can't do that, because if he does that, he'll get frogged and he'll die.
Correct. So he's just got to go
so
ahead
this has to be Molten Gold plus Charm Power.
Yep. I don't think...
Right, Leonard. But if he plays Molten Gold plus Charm Power this turn, he can't split his attacks, because the following turn, if he's at higher than 1, he can Ceremonial Power to get the Fire Archer back and kill him.
Yeah, he doesn't have the time to do that. Yep, Frog Ping to clear 1 and Molten on the top of the round, and you do Fire Archer end of round. I don't think I would take that chance. I don't. Yeah. I think this is going to be Molten Gold into side action of Charm Power on one of the units. It doesn't matter which one. It's just changing that combat math. down by 1. I still think you've got a problem because if Carl has one more unit in those 4 cards, which seems likely, it could be any 1/1 here, and it's GG. And I think that's what...
Well, it's... I don't know what's going to happen, because obviously Carl has multiple divine powers he could do through the course of this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can make 10 or even 11 power.
Mm-hmm.
But the timing of it is what's going to matter.
All right,
what is this?
What are we going
into? Is it a
Mist
Typhoon? No, that's not the right.
He's just going to make a bear.
Ugh, I don't like that.
Ooh, that seems...
I mean, I guess it saves him.
So make a bear. I guess
it's
if you get off
hard to...
So Cam, he's following your plan here. He's going to make a bear. I think if you're going to do that, you got to ping away the hatchling. That just takes 2 power off the board.
Well, he can ping whenever.
Right.
Yeah, see, that's why. I think if he had the Molten Gold, he had to play it there.
Yep. Because of the Consumed Soul, it just took him out of range, and I don't see how
I mean, he's still got 6 burn damage, like, assuming he has the Molten Gold, which this whole conversation has been based upon.
Well, at this point, you definitely got to bring in Fire Archer, because that's got to be the last Consumed Soul. Do a point of damage. It just reduces the number of actions you need on your turn.
Yeah, this is tough.
He also can't afford to go down to 1 card in hand, because 1 card in hand is enough for the Owl to take away the Molten Gold if it is held in hand right now.
Right, Leonard. In that case, where if he charms him and then Carl comes back with Lionhead plus attack, you just go to 9 and hope Carl doesn't have another guy, and then Frostbite as your first action on the following round.
So we're going to get that Ceremonial Fire Archer now. Going to 9.
Right, because now it doesn't really matter. I mean, Carl could have another Consumed Soul, but
okay. I still think you got to commit to killing that hatchling, no matter what Carl's got left in hand. It just represents too much power on the board, especially since, which is why I think it was a mistake, because now the pink can clear the board for the 2, 3, 6, 7 damage here. Not sure he passed back to Carl yet or not. Yeah, it must have. So there's the ping from the natural from Carl's side to drop the Fire Archer out of play. We're just going to see the squad get sent here for even the swordsman.
4, it looks like. Oh, no, it's 7.
7, yep. Taking Inquisitor to 2. 3? 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
And he was at 10. Okay.
No, he's at 9 because he archered back, so he should go to 2.
Then he should be at 2.
Yep. So, very interesting here, because even if there is a Molten Gold...
Well, I mean, Inquisitor could have a Nature's Wrath here, and it'd be really good.
Yeah. If that is one of his 2 cards there, that's pretty solid, but you would give up the Molten Gold because...
why?
Because he's got an Owl Book still available. So if you play a card from hand, you're giving up your second card. You're giving up the last card.
I mean, you're pretty well dead if you don't Nature's Wrath here, so I think you would rather Nature's Wrath than Molten Gold.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how
that assumes he has the 3rd Nature's Wrath.
Well, we get 1 die spent for a Raptor Herder.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, so...
I mean, that's good. It attacks for some damage.
Takes him to 4.
It's like not the right amount of damage. Okay. Anchornaut also good.
Yep. Just the value of getting 7 cards in a round. Did he kill the hatchling or the herder? I'm guessing he's going to kill that herder. Yeah. The hatchling does nothing.
Yep, so there's the owl.
There goes the molten gold. I think that's probably going to be GG here. I don't see an out for... Yep, we just see a scoop from Inquisitor as the molten gold goes away. Definitely very well played by both players here. Carl able to pull the victory out with a clutch Ironworker in round 2, clearing Inquisitor's board. Yep, owl to discard that molten. So we are able to see Carl's Herald list move its way through to the finals. Matt already knows his first 5, so he's already on plan. Calls it rematch time. So these guys must have played in the Swiss. I don't remember the outcome of that. Maybe I should...
You said Philly was undefeated, right?
So yeah, you're right.
If they played in the Switch, Philly won.
Yep, that's true.
Which again is I think that just based on the list, the Xander deck is advantaged here.
Sure. So let's go ahead. I'm going to close the poll here in about a minute. So if you haven't voted, want to get your vote in, again, just exclamation vote space M for Matt or exclamation vote space P for Phil, Xander, and Cole. Let's get those final votes in. If you haven't voted yet, be sure to do so. It's just fun. Like to know what your all's predictions are. Even if you're wrong, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to hold you to it. In fact, I don't even know what you voted.
Also, on that same topic, specifically, I think Carl's Herald list is even more brutal against the Knights than a regular Herald list.
Sure.
Because Swordsman is so good against the battlefield-based decks.
Sure.
And, that's essentially what this Xander deck is. It has 2 Molten Golds or whatever, but it's going to kill you with damage, like attacking.
All right, so 3 basics and 3 basics is going to force a reroll. We got 5 basics for Xander, and looks like 4 for Matt. So it looks like Xander's going to get to choose first or second.
So, like I said, what I would first find in the full deck is Abundance, Bear, Shadow Spirit, Fester, Gates.
6 basics for Matt here. Phil getting the better side of this with 3 basics. So that's going to put a little bit of pressure on Matt. Matt said more than 3. Yes, Matt got 6 here. So it looks like Matt's going to give Phil the go ahead for first here. We're going to close this poll down, and we're going to show it off here, and it's a tie between the two.
The poll resulted in a tie, huh?
Yep. The poll resulted in a tie. So
how many votes?
4 votes.
10?
No, 4 votes. 4 votes. Chat didn't want to vote? I don't know. Too late now.
I mean, I did vote. I just wonder if I did it incorrectly.
Wave says he should have waited to vote until the dice roll. I can't tell who voted. I have no idea. So it just logs the votes. It doesn't know who sent them in. So Cam cursing Matt out of the gate with a 6 die basic roll.
So there's the easy abundance.
Yep, right out of the gate, abundance coming off. We get a double meditation.
Was a shield and a Mist Typhoon and 100 blades.
So 2 AoE spells down. Not as important probably for Matt in this matchup. Goes in. We do lose a Shadow Guard. So Matt takes all but 2 basics out of the equation here. So 4 meditate. We're going to see the round 1 choke.
The choke,
which we knew was going to happen. I mean, that just seemed like you with a 1-up choke. You're playing that specifically for somebody like Cole.
So it's possible that my first 5 prediction is wrong because if Matt sees the choke, then the Fester is not good.
Sure.
In the first 5 anyway.
All right, so Matt needs to take a pause for a second here. So yeah, I mean, pretty standard what we saw from Matt last week with Abundance right out of the gate. He is still on the Abundance plan.
But yeah, I mean, even just looking at these lists, you can tell that the Abundance is really one-sided. Like, it's much more likely that the Cole player, even choked, will be able to deploy all his cards when the Xander player obviously will not.
Right.
They just based on the cost of things in the pile.
Absolutely. Yep.
So abundance and easy, two main actions you get to see what your opponent's doing and set up the rest of your turn, because it's very likely that you get to deploy the resources you get off it.
Right. No, you're 100% correct. And it'll be, you're obviously giving gas to Xander. And so that's why I kind of referred to it as playing with fire earlier. But
well, you give Xander more options, but you're not actually giving Xander more cards, I don't think, because it's going to be very unlikely that Xander plays 6 cards this turn.
Right.
And if he doesn't play 6 cards, then he has gotten no advantage from the abundance whatsoever, because he'll just draw less next turn.
Agreed. So Philly passes the side action there. We're going to see side action or main action abundance here. Matt's going to draw 2. Philly's going to draw 2. Be curious. Matt didn't play.
I suppose if he draws the Magic Siphon, it's really good off the abundance, because that's a card that's free.
Well, it's free-ish. You have to spend 1 sympathy to bring it into play, so it's not completely free.
Right. Okay. So it's not free. It's not good.
Yeah. So there's.
Okay, so he just makes a bear.
Yep. Gonna drop that Frostback Bear. Gonna see if Matt's gonna just stay on chant plan into.
Right. And we don't know if that was a first 5 chant.
Into his own bear. Yeah, I don't know if it's first 5 or not. We still don't know for sure. That's one interesting thing about the abundance, is you don't know for sure whether or not Matt is first 5ing the chance, or there's the Shadow Guard to counter the bear. So just right out of the gate, all the Shadow Guards burned out of Matt's deck. Does turn on that Chant of Revenge.
That's good. 2 dice to kill the Frostback Bear is not a bad deal for him.
No. Gonna exhaust that Chant to do 1 to Xander. And then he played Shadow Spirit Book here, so we're probably not seeing a Gates here at this particular point in time. Phil
still might be good. You get 2 bears out of it.
Yeah, that's true. So we get Summon Salamander.
But I don't know that, the way that this has turned out this doesn't look like a Gates hand, but
yeah, I think the Shadow Guard takes away the possibility of making Gates solid here. So you probably have to give up the Gates to play Shadow Guard. Don't know whether or not the Shadow Guard was in first 5. I'm assuming it was in this particular case. So Matt's just going to make the Shadow Spirit. This is where Shadow Spirit is good, because the last thing you want is to spend a single nature.
It will depend on if he took into account a frog being in his first 5.
Sure.
Because side action kill the Mistspirit here is not a bad rate.
No. Shadow Spirit. Mistspirits are very different. The Mistspirits,
they're not that much different.
They do nothing. At least the Shadow Spirit's got some value if it gets to attack. So he just makes a Salamander Monk.
Which also is fine, because it trades with the Shadow Spirit very profitably.
I think we're probably looking at Sonic Swordsman in this first 5. Although Phil could be masking the Hammer Knight here as well, just not taking that ceremonial dice up to a power side yet, because he doesn't need to. So Matt's going to pass. Aggressive early pass. We saw Matt do this before. He wants to force Phil to make a decision on that Salamander Monk. I think we'll just see Cole block this. I doubt Matt wants to trade. Yep.
That's interesting. I wonder. That indicates he has an Earthquake, I guess,
or a Nature's Wrath. First 5.
Yeah, sure. Nature's Wrath also.
I think the Nature's Wrath is more relevant here, but obviously you may be waiting just to see if Bear comes out. So Matt's going to get that Shadow Spirit. Gonna roll
Oh
down.
yeah, Earthquake is definitely more relevant because he can just take 2 from the Shadow Spirit, no big deal, and then
Mm-hmm.
he gets to pick it up when he kills the bear.
Yep. Interesting decision by Matt to roll down the Divine die here. Um, I guess that's to keep him off of Swordsman if he thinks it's Sonic Swordsman time. Forces Phil to meditate into the Swordsman now. Um,
I think it's the only card that he could essentially play without meditation.
mm-hmm.
Uh, so knowing that it's the only thing you get value from because he's going to have to meditate to the side action anyway. You're
Phil's gonna have a hard time though bringing down the Swordsman into this board because of the natural dice ping and Fester first 5 potential. So like because there's no RAs in Phil's deck, root armors in Phil's deck, we're very likely to see Hammer Knight or Swordsman come down, but those units are going to come down into Nature Ping to Fester, probably as the one of the 2 cards in Matt's hand right now. That still gives Matt the opportunity to play Frostback Bear, even if he walks into an.
this is like a Hammer Knight.
Yep, this is going to be the Hammer Knight. Dice are still up for the Earthquake here, as well as to recur Hammer Knight from Xander ability if he still wants to hold that Nature's Wrath. Yep, so we're going to see that Nature Ping to Fester. Knew that was very likely here. Quickly dealing with the first Hammer Knight.
And now the last card in his hand, it could be anything because he drew off the abundance.
Right.
So okay, Philly passes.
Passes. He's gonna make that. He's gonna get that Shadow Spirit. Makes sense because what
I'm not even sure that I would do that. Because he passed. Okay, so then it makes perfect sense. I was like, why is he letting him attack the Shadow Spirit? But he's not.
So yeah. So the reason I think
that was really good.
The reason is I think that Matt didn't want to open up that Frostback Bear into Earthquake. Like the board would essentially be reset, and Matt would just be on his 5, and Phil would be on his 5. But I think Matt got exactly what he wanted out of round 1 with this line. And going first here means he can take advantage of using the Shadow Spirit immediately to roll a dice down. Most likely looking at probably rolling that Divine die down just to avoid a Knight being recurred without mill here. I think that's a really decent line to start here. And whether or not Phil wants to sacrifice the Monk Spirit.
It just depends on how scared of Earthquake he is. Because and he takes that line.
Yep. So by doing that, Phil can't block the Salamander Spirit, so he's going to take 2 going to 15. Matt's closing the gap here. Attacked Xander and rolled down the Divine die. Oh.
We're just waiting for a draw set.
Yeah, there we go. So there's the 2 damage. Fell down to 15, Matt at 13. This one Shadow Spirit is just getting work in. And I'm always impressed when I watch Matt's games how units that are difficult for the rest of us mere mortals to play with are so good to him. You know what I mean? Like he has gotten 4 damage off of this Shadow Spirit for 1 die. And this is a unit that should have died to a Nature Ping very easily. When Phil's got 4 natural dice on his pool. Just always surprising to me here how that works. I would suspect that after seeing the attack from Salamander, we'll see what the side action is for Philly here. I'm assuming we're going to see some meditation, but meditation is playing directly into Matt's plan here because Matt is abundancing also every round. So Philly just takes the 1. Matt's gonna call here and roll up a bunch of dice. Think we're ready to see second Shadow Spirit book come online. It's like I said, it's just kind of fun to watch Matt navigate these waters where there's AoE galore everywhere you look, and Matt is threatening another Fester play here. This time he can slash Fester. He can do a variety of things. And we'll see what he has out of line. There's not going to be a surprise Shadow Guard because both Shadow Guards are gone out of the list now. So no surprise Shadow Guards left for Matt to take care of those Frostback Bears like he did in round 1.
Yeah, I think he's just gonna like use his books, kind of slow play.
So he's going to go ahead and make his bear. I guess he's going to force that Earthquake out at this point as the main action.
Well, Philly doesn't have to Earthquake yet.
No, not at all. But it does make using Frostback Bear... Like, you put Matt in the driver's seat to use Frostback Bear. If you don't...
But to do what, though? Is there's like no real Frostback Bear value here?
Bear,
it's just a 2 damage thing?
Bear can attack, and so Philly meditates Fester, meditates Nature's Wrath. So that's 1 Nature's Wrath gone. It's just going to make Salamander Monk Spirit, or Salamander Monk.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the books go back and forth here for a while, because neither of them really want to, like, commit. They just want to
That's going double.
Take the actions that they can play
for 100 blades here. This is a good 100 blades.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not like amazing or anything, but it's good. 100 blades is always value.
Mm-hmm. And then he's going to slash the spirit with a call. Yep. Very, very solid. Still hasn't used abundance yet.
Yeah, I mean, Philly needs a big play here, and he needs Matt not to have the second Fester.
Yeah, if Matt has second Fester, it's a lot of tempo loss. Because it'll take 3 dice from Philly for Matt to spend 1 die in this scenario. And one of the things that Matt can sort of do as a slow play here at this point is next action is slash the bear. I wonder if the correct line was still to take the spirit, or if you just tank another 1 damage from spirit because you suspect the earthquake, and you can't really afford to not. So here comes an attack for 2. I would suspect
bear to the face.
I would suspect Matt's going to block this. Yeah, it's just a favorable block. To go ahead and kill the bear.
I think this indicates to me that Matt wants to really play the long game here.
There goes 1 earthquake. Get the divine power. So expecting to see that change. So the abundance draw comes into play here. So we've got 1 nature's wrath, 1 earthquake in the bin. Don't know what's in hands right now. For those just joining in, Matt is on the bottom and Phillycheaz is on the top of your screen. We're currently in round 2. Philly has been the receptor of more damage from Matt up to this point. Matt has done a pretty nice job of preserving his life total, which is something you have to consider when you're playing Cole, just because of the low life value in general. So we're going to see Xander ability bring back probably Hammer Knight again. Yep, there's the Hammer Knight return. I'm not a super fan of this play if you suspect second Fester, but
I think that like this is the Xander deck's plan, is make these knights.
Yeah.
So if you can't do that, you're gonna lose. So you might as well just play like he doesn't have it. Like, you're still not dead.
Yeah, you have to run him out of Festers for sure. There we go. Got that. Thank you for catching that, chat.
Right, like you.
So we're gonna slash.
So here's the Fester.
Slash into Fester. Yeah, you do have to run him out of Festers. I agree. Like, you have to stabilize.
Like, you can't not play that knight there because of Fester.
Right.
If you're doing that, then you're just like, scooping kind of like.
Agreed. No, I don't disagree with that at all. We'll have to see if Matt has another ally to turn on Chant here.
I mean, it's fine if he doesn't. I assume he's going to make a 2-1 because he has the book up plus something. I don't know. He might even just pass.
It's very possible.
He's in such a dominant position that
Yeah, I don't think Philly can afford to not take another action, but certainly Matt can afford to be done taking actions this turn, right? So yeah, Philly passes. Matt's not
So
done.
here's the 2/1. Yeah,
He's just gonna bait that Earthquake out now. He's gotten value out of Bear, gotten value out of Shadow Spirit. Like Philly just has to Earthquake into a 3/1 board,
or Nature's Wrath,
or Nature's Wrath for sure. And
which he must have with 7 cards in hand or whatever.
Yeah, so there's the Nature's Wrath, crushes the board out.
Now we'll see if he has the gates for the immense blowout.
If he has gates here, that's you're right. That's a very, 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 very solid answer to the AOE.
I mean, Gates is a one of, and again, I think he has the Nature's Wrath there. Like, I don't think you can not.
So there's Shadow Spirit.
Okay, so second Shadow Spirit book. Not quite as good as Gates, but still pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think you can Gates after Quake. He's not going to have enough dice for that, but he is going to make another Shadow Spirit. Most likely this will burn the Nature Ping, but then that turns off the Earthquake. So if there is a Gates here, Matt just gets second.
Oh, he doesn't need the Earthquake if he's...
Well, if he has Gates, Matt can get second Bear out of the mix here, but we're just going to see probably a Raptor Herder. Yep, there's the Raptor Herder.
Not a very threatening Raptor Herder, but it is going to survive.
Yeah, it depends on what that last card is for Matt.
I suppose if it's other Raptor Herder, then all of a sudden it's a big game. But
he already slashed a Raptor Herder this turn as well. I wonder if he wants that back. I don't know what that last card in hand is. So if it was another Raptor Herder, then it would just have...
Raptor Herder is the only card it could be that would turn on the Raptors.
Okay. And Matt's saying I made a mistake slashing that Herder. So I wondered if he was thinking the same thing I was there after seeing a Herder get slashed earlier in the round. That would have been a lot of damage to Phil here, taking him to 8 out of this round instead. I think we're going to see Phil make it through at 13. Can't be much else here for Phil to play off that single sympathy. So he's going to go up here, just probably prepping for future stuff, I would guess.
1.
Yep. Phil's going to draw another card. I wonder why.
Yeah, he should, because otherwise he won't draw any.
That's true.
1 is better than 0.
That's true. Down to 12 cards in Phil's deck, 11 in Matt's already. Yeah, you could definitely play Gates after Quake if you have it. I don't know what Matt's got in his hand that he's valuing here.
Well, I think when we were talking about if he had Gates, he would have played it because he had the availability to make another bear also.
So I'm going to go on the bold prediction that Phil just bought on Strange Copy. That's what I'm going to go on here. So we're going into round 3. Phil's got the top of round 3 here.
Strange Copy. So as mediocre as I think it is funny that like they can attack and you can Strange Copy and it lets your Monk Spirit block.
Yeah,
because it like loses can't block.
That's true. That's kind of
which is kind of cute, but
that seems pretty costly for what it is.
What are you talking about? That's like exactly the kind of unit you want to use on it, right? Like,
yeah, that's true.
They attack with. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the units in the meta are like X plus ones.
Yeah.
So like they attack with Hammer Knight or whatever, and you Strange Copy and block. They just like bounce off each other, kind of.
So we'll probably
same with Frostback Bear or the other knights.
We'll probably see a knight stick this round. I can't imagine we won't.
I don't know. I mean, the third Fester's like 50-50 now, right? How many cards do you have left in his pile?
He had 11.
So he's got 7 left. He's going to draw 2 of them. So it'll actually be better than 50-50 that he has the last Fester.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
That's what abundance does, man. Just puts a lot of cards in your hand.
It does. Phil's at 11 cards to Matt's 7. So that The abundance could be a liability for Matt if we go too deep here.
I think if we're decking, Matt's going to win, just because abundance does damage then.
It does damage to Matt, though, as well. Only if
right, because he doesn't have it's not focused.
Right. So,
yeah.
So I think from just a pure perspective of like advantage.
So yeah, maybe decking is a thing, but I don't think that's the plan Xander wants to be on.
So Philly drops a Frostback Bear. It forces Matt to consider playing his own bear, which is just pure Earthquake material at that point, right? So I think you just have to go on Shadow Spirit plan if you're Matt here, or you go on Abundance plan. The other thing you can do...
the safest thing to do is activate Abundance.
Yeah. And then...
Because I assume he doesn't care about the bear attack?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So we activate the Abundance. I guess you could go ahead and slash, because you get a free slash in the bear, and then if he quakes you later, like, he doesn't want to play Quake until you play that other unit. So you could have Abundance slashed here, come back around.
I think that the bear is, like, low priority now for Matt. So, like, him just letting it do 2 to him and keeping his cards in hand is fine.
Sure. Yeah.
What we'll see is he might slash it later if there's an opportune shadow attack.
Sure.
You'd
have to assume at this point, though, Philly's also down deep enough. He could have 2 Earthquakes in hand. I'm not sure you're going to spend 2 Earthquakes in a given round, but we definitely know there was, one Nature's Wrath play.
There's 2 Nature's Wraths in the bin and 1 Earthquake, I think.
Yeah, so there's a good chance that there's 3 AoEs left in the deck. So gonna play other chant. This is good for Matt because Earthquake will turn on both chants then.
Yeah, chant's fine. So here's 2 damage from the bear. Just Matt likes the mode of take 2 damage, exhaust your guy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 3rd chant. So all the chants are online now. This really does become.
This game's not going to decking.
No, because 3rd chant really puts a lot of pressure on Phil to use that Earthquake.
So do you think that he's going to get to 6 him with chant this turn?
I don't know how you 6 him.
With gates, bruh.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh wait, it only does 1 per, so you can only 4 him.
Right.
Okay, so there's the Nature's Wrath.
Yeah, because Matt would have to spend 3 main actions and 3 side actions to get all those chant tokens off. That's going to put... There's 2 main actions left on Matt's board, plus some card in hand. If you were to Gates at that point, you'd have to come up with 6 main actions to end an ally to die?
It can only do 4 because Gates only does the... only 1 per slot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not as funny as I thought it was going to be, but, I mean... If he has Gates, he almost certainly gets an additional activation out of it, right? Like, well, maybe not. Does he have an ally he can play for this?
That would be my big question because
the only one is Raptor Herder,
and we saw 2 Raptor Herders last round. I don't know if all 3 are now out of Matt's deck, so that's a question here for sure. Very tight game up to this point. I would suspect we'll see the Shadow Spirit knock down, in this particular sequence, the Ceremonial to avoid the Hammer Knight play. That would force a meditation from Phil, or he could just play Hammer Knight here if he suspects that's the plan. But we're just going to see Salamander Monk. Same reason as before, right? Like you just want.
We'll see if he decides to frog the spirit.
Nope. He just wants to trade Salamander Monk into Spirit. That's a pretty good trade, actually.
Well, yeah. I mean,
he goes ahead and does it. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's good because between the Frostback Bear summon and that spirit in play, there would be enough attacks to kill that Frostback Bear through the Xander block.
So I think Matt's
and then the spirit monk would have nothing to do.
Matt's got to be kind of stuck here with Frostback Bear into Chant, right? Like, that's what he seems to be thinking right now. But is it profitable for?
Well, it
the
just
Xander
depends
player?
on what, like, I guess he can't play Hammer Knight. There's no shadow cards left. So if he was going to play a card this turn,
It's
yeah,
just
that's a
gonna be a bear.
Frostback Bear.
Yep. And we'll just see second Chant here.
And even if he doesn't get the additional damage off Chant because he doesn't have an ally, Gates is still really good on this board.
For sure. Because you could Gates into...
you just get another Spirit, another Bear.
Right.
That's...
And Crescendo's the bear.
Okay.
Throws another damage on that bear. Setting up...
Just essentially kissing goodbye to that bear, but he wanted to get the damage off the Spirit, I guess, or the Monk.
Yeah, I mean, in a game where Abundance is going to punish you at some point, you want to be ahead of your opponent before you start seeing those Abundance punishments, right? Because that turns into, as long as Matt's up by 1 point, he wins the game on Abundance. What's interesting is Matt's list doesn't see a lot of Fire Archers. I was kind of surprised to see that. You would have thought that would have been a pretty good include in this deck. Looks like potentially getting third Shadow Spirit book.
Also very good here.
Yep, I agree. That's a really solid card in this scenario. Gives you the last Chant trigger. See if that Gates is in the pile.
Well, he won't Gates now. I don't think. It's just not great value.
Well, it gets you second bear, and you're most likely staring down a Hammer Knight here. There's dice for Hammer Knight.
Right, but is a 3 dice 2/3 good enough?
Don't know.
I think just having a 1 dice 2/1 that he can already make is fine.
Yeah, considering that the ping ability is going to be gone,
and then saving the Gates for next turn when he has the potential to maybe use all the things.
Yeah. So Phil's
because
all in on
Gates
the hammer.
Also happens to be really good with Abundance.
He's going to mill the Abundance away.
Meditate the Abundance away.
So he obviously sees that Abundance is...
So he thinks he's going to be behind when the Abundance hits.
Yep. Well, certainly the Hammer Knight's going to threaten this board, but Phil's got to know that if he attacks here... So Matt is saying, actually, I will slash 2. Yeah. Okay, so he's going to slash call into the Hammer Knight. Yep, he did med. That's true. So...
Yeah, he wanted to slash there because he wanted to have enough...
he wanted enough
damage on the knight with the attack.
Yep.
Now you know I have this. He puts it on the table.
So here comes Hammer Knight. We'll see that Shadow Spirit certainly block this attack. Put 2 on the knight. He's going to overkill his own Monk Spirit. That's neat. Hadn't considered that line of
Sick,
play.
he says. I think it's fine.
It's funny.
I mean, it gets to do 1 damage.
Matt's going to meditate that away.
So he seems like he's pretty scared of...
Miss Typhoon here.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good here. Pretty solid, because now he can slash that knight to death.
But yeah, he's definitely slashing the... See, this is the reason I don't think that overkill was good. It was cute, but he would still have a guy in play.
Sure. Matt's going to meditate a Chant. I can't imagine you want to get rid of a Chant. Maybe he doesn't have any allies left, so he can't really afford to use Chants anymore. I'm not sure.
I think meditating Chant is fine. You're definitely getting more damage out of the summon books than the Chant.
4 cards left for Matt, 9 for Philly. This is definitely going to go to decking, I think.
This is not how I anticipated this game ending, was decking.
It just seemed like Phil was a long ways away, so he's going to take the other Shadow Spirit off the board here. And he's going to play a Raptor Herder. So he's got the Raptor Herder.
It's pretty good. Philly's just passing now, so there's the slash.
I wonder why you use Fester there instead of holding it Fester for next round. And you're going to attack. Attack with the hatchling. This just gives him another main action to slash Phil. Because Phil's out of dice, so Matt gets to attack and slash here. So he gets 2 damage, taking Phil to 8. Slashes with a Hammer Knight.
So this is going to put Matt on 0 cards, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what that last card is he decided to keep. It's got to be a Gates, right? Because
he's deciding if he wants to discard it.
Yeah. So back to Matt. He takes him to 7 here. I think he's got a hard time turning a corner into another Hammer Knight, but maybe he gets the upper hand by a small margin in the life remaining sector, and he's got 3 damage on board with Chance now. So if the Raptor Herder gets killed, which is very likely in the next round, that takes Phil down to 4. But
so he decided not to slash.
Yeah. So
we go round to 4. Obviously, that's a card he wants to play.
Yep.
So now Xander just has to figure out how to not die.
Yeah.
Because Xander is going to have a bunch of cards left still, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The Xander player is not going to deck, but the Cole player is on his way to decking. Matt is on his way to decking here.
But like you said, we know that the Xander player is essentially at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way Xander's going to deal 9,
So again, forcing that... so Phil's asking for a game pause here.
He's deciding if he wants to discard.
Yeah, Xander health is very big in this matchup. Xander health is very big no matter what. Verker back with that 5 months Prime subscription.
Man, how did you let Jesse trick you into giving us $5, Frank?
Because Frank likes me. What can I tell you? 5 months, dude. Thank you. Appreciate that. Get them pennies. Yeah, for sure. Commit a ton of time. I said at this point, Neil, I think we're making less than 6 cents an hour.
I mean, before we were making 0, right?
Yeah, that's right. So. That's right. We're clawing out of the bottom. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. No, I am. I mean, it's just phenomenal to me that you all believe in us and continue to, support us. It's just fantastic. So, just really appreciate that. So Phil can't afford to not Earthquake here, right? Because if he doesn't, Matt just deals 5 damage. 5 damage plus Chance wins the game.
He can't go to 3.
Yeah.
Probably. But that doesn't mean he can't go to 4.
Right.
So he has the Frog Ping.
That's how I buy my subs with fancy beer. Neil.
Okay.
And 4 dice, and yeah, I mean he could definitely Gates here. That's a real opportunity for him. So we see the Salamander Monk come out.
Interesting. Is he gonna Frog Ping?
He got it.
Frog Ping on Shadow Spirit reduces damage by a lot.
Yeah. Oh, the Particle Shield. Neil, you wanted to see Particle Shield to get a blowout? There you go.
It was very good.
There's the slash with the Gates. So not going to see Gates this round. We're going to see the Spirit go down.
He can put him at 3.
And we're going to go to 3. What a play. What a play. Rolls that Divine Dice down. Keep that Knight out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's just a misplay by Philly. Because if he had checked the discard pile, he'd know exactly how many shields he had left.
Yep.
Like with no cards in, you know his hand, and so you could have played around it. I mean, I don't know if Philly could have actually played around it because I don't know what's in his hand, but if he had a Nature's Wrath or a Earthquake, like he kind of needed to play it there.
Yep. That's gonna put a lot of value on these chants. You know, I think
because he doesn't have a random heal or something, does he?
I don't think Philly does. No. Looking at the list. No. Oh, I didn't mean to pop the list up here in front of everybody.
I mean, he's not dead.
No, not dead. I mean,
because like he can still just like do damage to Matt, but he has to be real careful because obviously Matt has slash his own Raptor Herder to put points on the.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a play we're going to see here. Matt's going to make a bear first, though, just to tank some of this damage from Philly's bear. It also will probably force. Matt is wanting a med here, so he's going to nature ping instead of slash. Each one of those cards is so important here for Matt.
Yeah, nature ping is fine. So now Philly has 3 turns to kill him.
Yep.
Which I don't think is enough.
I would think it'd be really hard pressed. You're looking at 3 damage on board.
Because he's going to go. Because he can't attack with bear. Because he has to have a blocker for Matt's bear.
Yeah, because if he doesn't, you're right. If he opens up that bear here, no matter what, Matt has presented a board where Philly's going to have to either put a knight on board or put another unit in play here of some sort that can threaten the Frostback Bear on Matt's board. And even then, that's probably not enough damage. And the time it's going to take is at least 2.
I think he's timed out here.
Yep,
I don't know that there's a combination of cards. I guess, did he play both Crescendos? Crescendo would be really good here, actually.
We saw 1 Crescendo. I don't know if another Crescendo went by.
So he has a second Crescendo, which would deal with the bear. So I think his actions are like play knight. Matt does something, which has to be a Gates, right? We didn't see the Gates go by. So if Matt has Gates, then
Gates went by. Matt slashed with it.
Oh, okay. Yep. Never mind then.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna see Xander recur here, or this is a Sonic Swordsman. Sonic Swordsman here doesn't do much.
But if he spends the horses, we know he doesn't have the Crescendo, so I don't think he can win.
Matt can't slash to the win here, Tyrant. Matt is going to win solely off of the 3 chants.
We're assuming he has main actions, I guess.
Yeah, the question is whether or not Matt has the main actions, but because if Matt has main actions, then he can put literal time on the board, any 100 blades left. Yeah, 100 blades is also a main action Matt can use here, so he's just got main action call. This is the kind of thing you want to be doing.
So he's going to play a Hammer Knight. He meditated to play Hammer Knight.
Doesn't he only have 2 Hammer Knights in his board? He slashed.
Oh no, he just played call as a main action.
Right. Yeah. So it was just a way to punt the turn and get a side action.
Right, and not let Philly punt.
Right.
So here, since he doesn't have the Crescendo, I don't think there's an out.
Is there a way Phil could stall mains and draw damage get him, not by slashing?
So he could play Earthquake, kill bear.
So he's gonna send swordsman at bear. I actually think Matt should have just took this damage. Because there's the 100 blades and the chant, and then the 100 blades does win the game.
2.
Yep, that's it. Man, that was very, very close. Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, very well played. Matt using every card in his deck down to the last card in his hand. Monk then Frog Ping was so bad. Yeah. So obviously, very well played by both players. Xander makes it back to top 4, doesn't work his way into the top of the finals. So our finals are going to be Carl with his Herald list against Matt and the Cole list. So obviously, obviously very well played by all players involved here to get there.